this is Chris with another video. We're going to continue our look at the 1956 Topps football set. And today we're going to look at 4 cards. We're going to look at card numbers 43 through 46. The first card here, we have card number 43, which is Gary Knafolk. He was a receiver for the Green Bay Packers. And I really like this card because just the pose and the Packers uniform against that red background, I think really makes this card pop. Now, he's one of those players that, kind of one of those unsung guys that a lot of people may not have actually ever heard of, but he was actually the leading receiver for the Packers in 1955. And he also scored the game-winning touchdown against the Lions on opening day. With 20 seconds left, Tobin Rote, the quarterback of the Packers, threw a 20-yard touchdown pass to him, and they ended up winning the game. This was a pretty big deal because the Packers were not very good, and the Lions were coming off of a championship appearance the year before, although they ended up not having a very good year this year because Bobby Lane, their quarterback, got injured during the season. He was actually carried off the field by fans after he made this touchdown reception. In 1957, he also made the winning touchdown against the Chicago Bears on the first day that New City Stadium, the first time they played a game there, which would later be renamed Lambeau Field. He scored the game-winning touchdown in that game as well. He was also the public address announcer at Lambeau Field for 40 years, from 1964 until 2004. One of the other interesting things I find on here is the little tidbit on the back, the cartoon fact. What was the longest run with a recovered fumble? And the answer was George Halas in 1923 for 98 yards. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. And that's one of the things I really like about this set, is some of the interesting facts that you see on the backs of these cards. The next card we have here is a Hall of Fame rookie card from this set. This is linebacker Joe Schmidt of the Detroit Lions. Now, again, he was simply probably one of the better linebackers during this time in the NFL. He won 2 NFL championships, played in 10 straight Pro Bowls, as well as being a 10-time first-team All-Pro. He also coached the Detroit Lions. He was the head coach in the late 60s and early 70s as well. Just a great player. Now, you guys know how I like my team cards. This is what is actually pictured, as you may remember, even though this is from the 1956 set, Topps used photos of 1955 teams. So this is really interesting because it actually has Otto Graham on the card, because he was on the 1955 team, which was his last season with the Browns, but he did not play on the 1956 team. So I think that's kind of an interesting thing there. You also have a bunch of other Hall of Famers on this card, as this team was just loaded with Hall of Famers. And some of the other players on this team, some guys that you don't necessarily see in regular issue cards. You have Abe Gebron, who was, he actually ended up, he was first of all, he played guard for this team for 10 years. And actually coached the Chicago Bears in the mid-70s. He was also a defensive line coach and defensive coordinator for a time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers during the 70s. You also have Paul Brown on here, who a lot of people consider the father of modern-day coaching. He's responsible for, he brought in film study to scout games and scout other teams. He was the first coach to hire full-time assistants. He invented the face mask after Otto Graham got his face cut open from a nasty hit. And he also invented the draw play, which was a little bit on accident. And what really happened there was Otto Graham kind of had a botched play, and at the last second handed the ball to Marion Motley, and it ended up being a big gain. So they kind of, from that, developed the draw play, which we see used quite frequently today. I'm not going to spend too much time on Paul Brown. I may end up doing a video on him at some point, just kind of focusing on his accomplishments. But I do also want to mention he played a big part of integration, not only in football, in pro football, but really in sports. And in 1946, with the signing of Bill Willis and Marion Motley, this actually preceded Jackie Robinson with the Dodgers. Now, he was not actually very well liked among players. He was kind of a disciplinarian who was really, really strict, and a lot of people didn't really like him. But you can't argue with the results that he had. And he also had a very impressive coaching tree. Don Shula played for him at one point and, of course, went on to a great coaching career. Bud Grant also played for him on a naval team. And he also, Weeb Eubank, who won 2 championships with the Colts and also a Super Bowl with the Jets, and Blanton Collier, who ended up winning, he led the team to the 1964 NFL championship after Paul Brown had been fired when Art Modell took over the team. But also on this team and a part of this amazing coaching tree is Chuck Noll, who ended up becoming the Pittsburgh Steelers coach in 1969, turned that team around, and of course had the great teams with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 1970s, winning 4 Super Bowls. He's actually on this card. He's pictured on this card. So I think that's something that's really neat on here. And again, it's one of those reasons that I really love looking at these team cards, because they're just so interesting, and you can find a lot of interesting players and coaches on here. And the last card we're going to look at here is Len Tooze. Again, this is a short print with the Chicago Cardinals. Didn't really find much about him, although the back of his card said he was one of the best tackles in football during his playing time here. He played 2 seasons with the Rams and 4 seasons with the Cardinals. So that's all I have for today. It's just those 4 cards, and we'll probably do something else, probably the same. We'll continue the set spotlight in the next video as well. Take care and have a good night.